Hi friends, welcome or welcome back. Today I am going to go over my Hobonichi shopping experience in Tokyo and share with you what I purchased. I was lucky enough to be in Tokyo earlier this month and I was able to go to Loft Shibuya and to Tobichi. Loft Shibuya and Tobichi. For those who don't know, Loft is a huge like lifestyle store with a couple of floors of stationery. And they actually have Hobonichi exclusives. They did not have them when I was there. They were all out. I did consider the Frog and Toad cover. That was the only cover this year that I was really super fond of. But I didn't really need a cover. I do still love my old Hobonichi cover that I've been using this year. It's this one by Hiroko Kubota, who I'm a huge fan of their work, and this is one of my favorite covers that they've ever done. So I'm planning on continuing to use that one. So I didn't technically need a cover, and I took that as a sign. So yeah, I did go there, and then Tobichi is the flagship store for Hobonichi in Tokyo. So I felt really fortunate to be able to experience both of them. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of go through everything I bought and how I feel about it. Some of these things are new to me and some of them are repeat purchases like my cousin. So let me just let's start with Loft because that was the first store I went to. Now, full disclosure, I did go to Loft thinking maybe I could find everything there and then I wouldn't need to go to Tobichi simply because I was traveling with my partner and my daughter and I didn't want to, take them to Hobonichi if that wasn't something that they were excited about. Turns out they actually were interested in going. And so they loved the experience of going to Tobichi as well. So it was wonderful. It worked out really well. But I did go with a checklist of everything I needed. And this was all part of that checklist. So we're going to start out by talking about what I got. So I got this beautiful gridded notebook, like graph paper notebook. I have wanted this for a long time. I'm a huge fan of this artwork. I really like the kind of botanical inspiration. This one is actually called Yamasakura, and it's from the Kochi Prefecture Makino Botanical Garden collection by Tomitaro Makino, and I probably butchered that. I'm very sorry, but I am a huge fan of this kind of artwork. I love it. The horticultural diary aspect is just beautiful. So I've wanted it for a while, but I think it was like $24 to $26 here in the US, depending upon where I was looking. And I just felt like it was too much for a notebook. Although I own Leuchtturms and I don't ever balk at those prices. I don't think I realized just how high quality this was. Like, this is actually a very thick notebook and the paper is really nice in it. It's the Tomo River paper that I like from the Hobonichi. And yes, I know that the Sanson is not as good as the original. I'm aware. However, I feel like I did not experience any of the bad batches of paper because I started using Hobonichi last year in the spring edition, and I think they might have fixed problems by then. I don't know, but my paper has been consistently good, so I feel very lucky. So yes, this particular notebook, the things I really love about it that I didn't expect were, number one, this is not cardstock. This is so thick that I'm going to say this is actually cardboard. Like, it's super thick. It's the same thickness as the cousin, if not a little bit stronger. And then here, this first page is not glued up so high that I can't use it. Like, this is a perfectly usable first page. I love the size of the grid. I think it's very usable for me, depending upon whether or not I want to write with a broad or with a regular, like, smaller nib. I'm still able to do it. This seems to be the same size as in the cousin. I was wondering if it was maybe 5 millimeters, but it's not. It's definitely the same size as what's in the cousin, which I think is 4.7 or 3.7. I can't remember, but it's around that 4 millimeter size, which I really love, because with my extra fine pens, that's definitely the size I like. And again, if I'm using a medium, then I can just do 2 of them and it works really nicely. So yeah, big fan of this. I will probably be buying more of these. I use exclusively A5 notebooks because I did try the Weeks this year and just the form factor didn't work for me. I write too much. I am too wordy in everything that I do, including my planning And so for me, the A5 just works better. I like having my Hobonichi Cousin, my everyday planner, in its own separate cover. And then my other notebooks are usually in a Louise Carmen style leather cover that I made myself. So I wouldn't say I'm particular about things, but I would say that like I like what I like and I don't necessarily need to change it all the time. If there had been a cover that I loved, like the Frog and Toad one that I was really fond of, I would have bought it and then I probably would have ended up using it this year and alternating back and forth. It's not that I'm averse to having multiple covers. It's just that I have to really love something in order to buy it. I've kind of made it to that point in my spending journey. So yeah, I got that one. Really excited. Love it. It did also inspire me to buy 2 more at Hobonichi that I'll show you. All right, the other thing I got was this Hiroko Kubota pencil board. I use my pencil board a lot, and it wasn't something that I was sure I was going to use when I bought it. I just bought it because I bought it actually as a page marker, and it turned out that I always wish I had another one, right? I'm always wishing I had another one. I actually created blotter papers for my fountain pens that I end up using as like pencil boards, which do not work nearly as well. So I definitely knew I wanted to pick this up. And this one is one I've wanted for a while. And so I decided to pull the trigger on this one. And, you know, it's funny because I know that this is meant to be Japan. I know that this is not London, but something about this print reminds me of Hampstead Heath. And similarly to how this one really reminds me of the National Museum of History, or Museum of Natural History in London. Not intentional. Maybe my brain is just in London for some reason. That's probably it. But nonetheless, like this really reminds me of the view from the Heath, or the feeling of being at the top of the hill on the Heath at sunset, which is just one of my core memories. I love it so much. It's so beautiful. And so this both reminds me of that and of the view from the Toy Story Hotel in Tokyo, Disneyland. So I had to buy it. This had to be the one that I got when I first made the purchase. Then the other thing that I went specifically looking for were these smaller notebooks. I like to have a small notebook at the back of my Hobonichi Cousin cover. I'll show you the one that I have in here right now. It's not fountain pen friendly paper. It's not Hobonichi. It's actually this really thick lined notebook, and I love it. I use it all the time, but I don't like the paper in it, and it is way too thick. Like, I am a chunky journal girl. I chunk it up, and this isn't even done yet. Like, we still have 2.5 more months that are going to be chunked up, and these earlier pages, like, I didn't even start this notebook until 2 months into it. So my journal gets really chunky. I like putting stickers and ephemera in it, and therefore I really need to have a thinner notebook in the back. So because I do write in my Hobonichi exclusively with fountain pens, right now I have the TWSBI Eco Extra Fine. In here, it's inked up with Amazing Amethyst from Diamine Inks. So it's a nice, like, dark purple ink that looks really, really nice and dries really well. So it performs really well in this TWSBI. And this was actually my first fountain pen. If you want me to do a video on my fountain pens, I'm happy to do so. But this is one of my babies, this one. And then my partner bought me this Harry Potter pen from Lamy, and I love it. I literally just replaced the nib with a broad nib. He got me the extra fine because at the time I thought I liked extra fines, but I really wanted it in a broad, so I got a broad nib to replace it with. Anyway, I digress. I need a notebook in the back. I want one that's smaller and thinner. I'm happy to swap them out. I don't have a problem with that. It's really just a place for me to write quick notes, or to, usually what I do is I'll be sitting at my desk working, and I'll take notes in my Hobonichi for things that are important. And this in the back will allow me to add things like, hey, this is a grocery list for the week, or, you know, these are the things that I need to accomplish in the next, like a running to-do list for the week. I'll do these here because I run out of space in my Cousin otherwise. I'm one of those people who the daily pages aren't even enough for. I know it's a problem with being overly verbose. I can't help myself. All right. And then the 2 other things that I bought, this was the number 1 thing I had to purchase when I went there. It was the Hobonichi Cousin. I chose the English edition this time. I debated a lot whether I wanted to do the English or the Japanese, but ultimately I thought, let's give this a try. They had it, and it wasn't more expensive there. It was the same cost. So decided to give it a go. I got one for myself and I got one for my daughter. I'm not going to open it yet because, I'm not going to open it yet because it's no different than a regular Hobonichi, and this isn't meant to be like this is what's a Hobonichi's like. This is just what I got. So yeah, it's the same quality. I did open it to make sure it looked good. I opened mine. I have not opened my daughter's, but yeah, really excited to use this next year. And yeah, kind of glad that I didn't end up getting, into the whole crazy price hikes and stuff, because I was in Japan. It did make it a really simple decision to use the Hobonichi. I was considering a journey planner, but she took so long to update that the journey planner was coming out and like guaranteed and show it and give a date, that I was already in Tokyo and had purchased this. So I'm happy with my decision. I will use it one more year, and then I might look at a journey planner. But I do love the Hobonichi, and I do love the cousin, and it meets my needs really, really well. And so frankly, I more than likely will just stay in a cousin for the foreseeable future. It's just my notebook of choice. All right, so shopping at Loft was great. I bought a bunch of stuff other than the Hobonichi products. All in all, if I were to go back to Tokyo, I would definitely go to Loft again. The experience of being able to purchase the things that you see online at a really good price and in person where you can touch and feel them was really exciting. There's also a huge culture around stationery in Japan that people told me about, but I didn't really understand until I went. And it was almost electrifying. The best way to describe it is like, it's like the culture around like skincare and beauty products here in the United States, which, don't get me wrong, also exists in Tokyo. But there were so many people shopping for stationery who were excited about it and were looking at things, and they were from all different cultures. So Japanese, you heard Japanese being spoken, but you also heard Spanish, and you heard Eastern European languages and other Asian languages, and you heard obviously a lot of English, but there were a lot of people excited about buying stationery from all over the world in Loft. And I thought that was really cool. My daughter also found a really cool Loft exclusive lip gloss, right? So the whole experience is just really fun. So if you like beauty, or if you like stationery, it's a fun store. They do have home stuff, and they had some clothes. Those floors were pretty empty compared to the stationery and the beauty products, but that could also just be the days that we went. So anyway, it was a lot of fun, and I definitely want to go back to Loft and go to Loft Ginza and try other ones. But Shibuya is where we were when I made that purchase, and Shibuya in and of itself is an amazing district. So I really loved it. Can't recommend it more highly. All right. So then a couple days later, we went to Tobichi, and the main reason that I said, guys, are you okay if we go, is because I wanted to get the 5-year journal. I really, really wanted to get the 5-year journal, and they did not have it at Loft. So we went to Tobichi. So that experience was really fun as well. Like, as somebody who is a big fan of Hobonichi and has tried a bunch of their products, and really just my love of fountain pens came from trying a fountain pen in my Hobonichi and realizing, oh my God, I love fountain pens. And I love them on this paper. And that combination has helped me so much, because journaling came from that for me. And journaling has been more helpful for me than a lot of therapy has been. And so planning in my Hobonichi keeps me mentally stable, I say as a joke, because I know what I'm supposed to be doing and when. I miss a lot less engagements, and I am a lot less stressed. I'm somebody who has like 3 different work calendars and 3 different personal calendars. And I'm not exaggerating. That is the literal number of calendars that I have to manage. Most of them are online. They're virtual calendars. And you would think that the solution would be to pool all of them together, but there's always a technical mishap. Something never pulls in. I'm always stressing out. So the actual act of sitting down with my Hobonichi and writing everything that I have coming up that week, that month, and then that day, right, is so helpful. It's so grounding for me, that I feel like in control of my life and my calendars, instead of my calendars and my life being in control of me. And with everything that I manage and that I organize, it's just been a huge mental health changer. And then my love of fountain pens leading to me journaling, just like freeform journaling, think morning pages, but like on steroids, because I will write 10 to 15 pages a day, has been another really huge game changer for me, because I can dump all my thoughts onto the paper and then they're gone. Like, they're not in my head taking up space anymore. I can move on to other things, and it's freed me significantly. I've had a really hard couple of years going through divorce, and the difficulties that that brought on for my daughter primarily, and being able to put all that down somewhere and really process it through the writing has been the biggest gift. So I think for that reason, Hobonichi will always have like a special place in my journal lineup or my techo lineup. So yeah, I'll probably always have some form of Hobonichi. And now I've over-explained everything, but again, this is why I write 15 pages. All right, so to Tobichi. We went when they had the One Piece pop-up, and it was so much fun. My partner actually has never had a Hobonichi, but he saw the One Piece and he loved it because he's a fan of One Piece. And so he got a cover and a Hobonichi in an A6 techo, and he's going to do it for the first time. So I'm really proud of him. I think it'll help. He is also somebody else who just has so much going on. He's got like, you know, the typical like overachiever, like, you know, does too much all at once, has too many things going on. So I think it'll be really good for him. I'm really happy. And as I mentioned, my daughter also uses it. So it was great. Everyone loved the experience. My daughter got a couple of all things, she got like ink stamps that she really likes. But she specifically asked me to go back to Atoya. So that's where she wanted to go. So we went from Tobichi to Kingdom Notes to Atoya in Ginza. It was this crazy back and forth across Tokyo for Stationery Day. So it was awesome. And it started here. And the staff were lovely. The other patrons were very respectful and also clearly excited to be there. So yeah, it was a wonderful experience, and everything is so well organized. So yeah, this is the first thing that I got. And actually I didn't get this. My daughter got this. She was super excited because this is her cover, and that's what she immediately saw. And then she saw the little kids and the animals, and she's 10 years old. So she's at that age where, you know, she's a very mature 10 as well, I should say. Like, she's amazingly smart. And I know she's my daughter and I'm biased, but we've had her tested, we know. Like, she is smart. And she's really just one of those kids who makes connections with things that you wouldn't necessarily put together, and you're like, wow, that was really deep. So anyway, I think she loved the connection of the cover being just like hers, the fact that this was in English, and all the cute little characters. Like, she really liked it. She saw the fountain pen. It's like, oh, mom likes fountain pens. She's actually gotten one of her own little fountain pens. She has a Jinhao, one of the little tiny ones, because it fits her hand really well. And yeah, again, this is like her cover. So she really liked it. She said it'd be good to teach her how to use her Hobonichi, because she's still learning, she's still getting accustomed to the process. She does sometimes fight it, but she says she feels better when she does use it. And I think she likes the process of putting like stickers in it and washi tape. Like, she loves washi tape. So that's her big thing. Her father's partner gave her a bunch of washi tape, and she was telling me how excited she was about it. Well, her father bought her a bunch of washi tape, but then her father's partner, she also gave her some of her washi tape. And so she was like super, super excited about it. She's like, well, she let me use it and she hasn't taken it back, so I think maybe it's mine. It was really cute. So yeah, we were talking about how nice that was. So yeah, I think she likes that aspect of her Hobonichi. And so she liked the connection. So I don't know, for me, this is special because it has that connection with her. And you'll see that I do things like that if you haven't already. All right. And then we didn't get the little free gifts, even though we did purchase like planners. However, they did give us a bunch of stickers, which I think is cool. I'd actually much rather have the stickers. I don't really have use for those pens or a paperweight. I don't need more stuff on my desk, but I do always need more stickers. So they gave us these, and they were like, take as many as you want. And my daughter took 5. So that was awesome. And I think she took 3 and I took 2, if I'm honest. So I think what drew me to these in particular, though, other than the frog being super cool, was this little dog that has a cat on his head. I don't know if it's going to focus on that. There you go. But that, I don't know. I love it. And him playing the guitar with like the cat just like chilling on his head. I could not. I have to look up Sander Studio, who is the one who made that illustration, because it's cracking me up. All right. So after being so impressed with the other Hobonichi journal, I decided to buy 2 more because I knew that I was going to go through them. I just spoke about how much I write. And they had a Moomin one, which I loved. And this one in particular, I loved it because it reminds me of when my daughter's doing her homework and she gets like really frustrated, or just really, like, she's just not liking that she has to do her homework. And I'm like, would you like a snack? So I'm like, do you want your mango and kiwi salad? Do you want a Diet Coke? You know, like, she's, you know, the thing I think about. She's what I think about the most, right? So it reminded me of that. Also, I just love Moomin. I love how there's something about it. I can't really quite put it into words. It's both like, they're just adorable. So I really love that. And then I, of course, you know, like the back of this little grumpy puss. Like, I love that. So yeah, I really like this one. And again, the quality on this is just as good. It has the same lack of taping up. It does the same, like it lays flat. At the front here, you're going to have to train it a little bit. That's nothing a clip won't help with. Yeah, I also really like the way that you can see the binding here. That's like really, really pretty to me. And I love the fact that this is in red. I think it really pops and complements it. Speaking of Moomin, I did get this. Now, I know that they had a Moomin cover, and I did consider that one because, again, I do really like Moomin. However, I didn't, something about that cover reminded me of a wedding, like a wedding scene. There's this one character who has almost like a veil-like drape around them, and weddings are wonderful. I think they're a fantastic celebration of two people coming together and the forming of a family. And I think weddings are, they're a beautiful thing. I don't have anything against weddings. I was, however, recently divorced August 15th, and I didn't want to look at my my cover and think of weddings. Like, it felt weird. I'm not in that stage of life right now, and it just was not something I was interested in. I'm not sad I'm divorced. I'm actually very relieved that chapter is done. It feels good to be divorced. So it's not that I'm like reminded of the divorce and the wedding and it makes me sad. It's just more that, like, I'm not in that place. And so, like, every time I looked at a journal, the fact that it looked like a wedding to me was like not really meaningful, and it just felt weird. So I don't know. It's just something about it didn't call me. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm not interested in that. I don't want a big wedding. It looked like a wedding planner, right? I was like, I don't need a wedding planner. This is very strange. Anyway, but I did see this, and like I said, I love pencil boards. And I use them not just in my cousin, I use them across all my journals. So I have a reading journal, I have the journal that I write in, like my morning pages journal, I guess you could call it that. And then I have my, I have not really a health tracker, but one where I write like my symptoms through the day, like if I'm feeling sick to my stomach and stuff like that. And then obviously my Hobonichi. And so I figured, and I'm going to have a 5-year journal next year. So I figured, and another one of these would never hurt, because I want 2 of them just for my cousin, and that was going to leave me with nothing for my 5-year. So I'll definitely be using this one in my 5-year. And I chose this one, not just because it's Moomin, but also because this little animation here just reminds me of Sia's Chandelier song. And it's such an earworm, and I love it. I don't know. I thought it was really funny. And then this, if you look back here, like, isn't this the most whimsical, like, bedroom scene ever? Like, they're going to bed and they've got their little purse, and it's like the flowers hanging down. We went to the Team Lab Planets, and they had these orchids that hung down, and it really reminded me of that. And I loved that room. So yeah, I got it for that. And yeah, I love it. So, okay. And then I got another journal. As I said, I'm a big fan of these notebooks, and this one is by Hiroko Kubota again. And their work, like I mentioned, I love. I am a big fan of their more nighttime scene work, and this obviously is that. I'm gonna open it like this. I'm sorry, spine. Maybe I'll just go from the middle so it's not so damaging. Okay. This is so cute. I love the fact that the cat is using a sparkler, hanging from a thread strung on stars. It's just so whimsical. And again, it ties back to that same scene that we have in the pencil board, and the stars remind me of what I have in my actual Hobonichi. So all these dots everywhere with the little mouse on the harp. Like, how can you not love this? Anyway, I was really excited to see that they have this cover, and so I ended up buying that as well. All right, so the pièce de résistance. I decided I wanted to get a 5-year journal, and I did look at other options, but I did obviously land on the Hobonichi. And the reason that I want to do a 5-year journal is because my daughter will turn 11 by the time that I start this, and she will be driving by the time that I finish this. So she will go through her preteen years and her early adolescence in this journal, while I'm in this journal. And I really want to document the process of raising her through those years. Those were very difficult years for me. They're very difficult years for most girls. And they're also years that are full of really important life lessons. So I wanted to document raising her through that. One of the ways that I find that I can be more intentional and more present and more mindful is if I journal. And so this is going to really allow me to do that. Now, she is only with me about 50% of the time because, you know, she spends time with her dad. I think it's really important for her to have equal access to both parents. And so, you know, we went with a pretty even split of time. But doesn't mean that she doesn't talk to me. And it doesn't mean that like I'm not doing work on my parenting on days that I'm not with her. And I will also write like my own things in here, right? So like if something happens in my life that I think is important, or that I just want to jot down, like, hey, you know, today was a really great day. You know, today me and my partner did this when I wasn't with my daughter. But for the most part, the big impetus was for her. So like I said, I chose the Hobonichi, and the reason that I did is because I love the simplicity of their setup. It's just really, really easy to do what I want to do in this particular journal. It meets my needs very, very well. So what do I mean by that? It starts out with just very simple years. I want to track which days she's with which co-parent, right? Is she with her dad? Is she with me? I want to know what that looks like year over year in something concrete, not because I want to keep tabs or I'm trying to like make sure that, you know, I was with her a certain amount. I just really want to see over time what she gravitates to, because as she gets older, her voice around where she spends time will become more important and will be more impactful into where she spends time. And so I kind of want to be able to mark that just out of curiosity to see. And then it's very simple. Here you have a horizontal entry for every year for 5 years. And then here you have a blank page. I want to be entering a little blurb about the day. And then I would love to put pictures here. It's a little ambitious to say that I'm going to take a picture every single day, print it and put it in here. So maybe it won't be a picture that goes in there for that day every year. Maybe it'll just be, you know, maybe I'll do some journaling, some extra journaling over here. However, I do really want to do I really would like to have as many pictures in these areas as possible. Because, you know, life happens so quickly and I'd love to be able to look back and enjoy it. And so, yeah, that's literally all that is in here. Okay, if you go to the end, the last page is personal notes. It has my lists. This, I'm not really planning on using any of this. I'll probably end up putting pictures on this. It has this page, and then it goes into yearly recaps, which I love, 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 love. And yeah, remember this. So if there's a really big event, I can put it here. But for the most part, I don't really know exactly what I'm going to use this for, but I do know that I'm going to use these quite a bit. Yeah, then everything here is not, I might end up putting more pictures on these because why not, right? But yeah, so that's my intention for this, and I was really glad to be able to get it, especially at the price that I could buy it in Tokyo. I did consider what cover I was going to buy for this, and there is a Hidoko Kubota cover that came out this year for the 5-year that I did like. However, I am more drawn to their evening scenes or their sunset scenes, and I felt not as drawn to the one for the 5-year. And so I opted to skip it, and I found one on Etsy that I really like, so I'll probably be buying that one. Or if I decide that I don't want that, I'll be making a Louise Carmen style cover specifically for this book. I'm almost leaning more towards that. However, I'm thinking on it a little bit more. I have some time. I don't really need to get a cover for it until January. So because I'm going to have it for 5 years, I wanted to make sure that it was like a cover that I was excited to be using it. So yeah, I'll more than likely be making a cover for it, but I'll update here if you guys want on what I ended up getting for it. And then finally, because there has been so much talk about paper and the quality of paper, they did give me a sample of the 5-year journal paper because that was the one I was most curious about, and obviously the one that I'm going to be stuck with for longest. So what I did was I did a paper test with a glass dip pen using my, I have a J.R. Ben, ooh, I need to wash this better. I guess it still has something on it. A just glass dip pen with some Iroshizuki Sui Gyoku. I'm sorry, I'm butchering all these Japanese names. I do need to clean this. But yeah, I did a dip in that, and then I just sort of swatched some of it there to see, you know, how would it do with a lot of ink? Because sometimes one of the things I've been trying to do more is to use my fountain pen inks for decoration. So I'm going to be taking the, like almost like a brush and putting it on the page as a decoration because I have some really beautiful glitter inks that I want to do that with. So I wanted to make sure it would hold up that way. I sneezed in the middle of writing it, so I then wrote here my Sarasa pen. So just like this, like a regular Sarasa ballpoint pen. And then I'm starting to use more and more stamps, which is something I didn't before. So I used 2 different ink pads. I used both the sort of teardrop one that everyone knows, which is the Versamagic chalk ink, which is what is specifically recommended for Hobonichis. They actually sell these in Tobichi. That's, to me, is a, I don't know, like this is meant for that, right? It's like an endorsement of this particular ink for this paper. So I did end up buying, I bought this at Loft, but yeah, they're so much cheaper in Japan, guys. It's like 300 yen. It's like $2. So anyway, I tried that one here. And then this one, I got a permanent ink. Now, I know for a fact that this bleeds through. There is no way that this is not going to either ghost horribly or just full on bleed through. And I knew that going in. So I did one really hard stamp and then one more light stamp to see if there was a chance at all of it not bleeding through. And then I went ahead and I did these 2 samples, and I did them in 2 different ways, right? Mainly to see what would happen with more traditional ink pads, because these are just self-inking. They're standard. Also got these at Loft. And yeah, I found that I did them just normal, but then one of them I wanted to do like a really long press on to see, because sometimes I forget to lift my finger, like what would happen if I did that, or if I really juiced up a stamp, right? That was like really, really juicy. So what would that look like? And so I tried that. This is a fountain pen. It's this fountain pen with a medium nib, and it has Lamy. They're dark purple with green sheen in it. I'm blanking on the name of it, but it's beautiful, and I have so much of it. So yeah, and you don't know that's going to work, because I'll probably have that ink the full 5 years that I have this. And then of course I did my midliners in the 3 colors that I just got. So let's see how it performed. I will say I was really, really impressed. I laid this down really thick, and it ghosted. Of course it does. That's just part of owning a Hobonichi. I'd say if you're not okay with ghosting, this is not the journal for you, unless you're going to use pencil or a very light colored ink on a pen. It's gonna ghost. Like, that's just kind of what this paper does. But I feel like the stamps were the Versamagic chalk stamp was fine. There was ghosting, some pretty big ghosting, and then a little tiny bit of bleed through on this one. Again, just ghosting on these stamps, but then the one that I held down for a long time, that one did totally bleed through, and that would be enough for me to make sure that I'm not using really thick inks, like a really juicy regular stamps. Like that proved to me that I can't do that. I'm totally okay with this level of ghosting on this pen with the Lamy Violet. I'm probably not going to do too much of the permanent ink, just because it did, even on the very light pressure one, it did bleed through just a bit. And I really don't, yeah, I'm okay with this. Definitely, this is too thick. So I have to have a really good reason to use these. And then the mild liners, I can barely see them. And the Sarasa pen, Honestly, I see that more than I do the fountain pens, but that's, you know, that's just me, the Sarasa ink pen. But you know, again, I rarely use that one. So to me, this paper is wonderful. And most importantly, I don't know how well you can see it, but the properties of the ink here are really well displayed. And that's a big reason why I use Hobonichi alongside fountain pens, is it really does a good job of displaying the ink. So I am happy with this paper. I am excited to use it. And I think overall, I did get everything that I wanted and needed from Hobonichi. Very proud of myself for not overspending. They do have every single cover that you could imagine in the Topichi store. I mean, stuff from last year, things that I hadn't seen, they were there. And some of them were really pretty, but I was able to say, hey, you know what? I don't need that. And yeah, proud of myself for that. But overall, just it was a beautiful experience to be able to purchase these items in their country of origin and to have that as a memento of a really momentous trip. Like it was a big trip. I don't know if and when I'll ever be back in Tokyo. The world is large and I probably will explore other areas before I go back. So it's wonderful. I'm really glad to have these as memories, especially the pencil boards, which I know that I will use for years and years to come. So yeah, that is my experience and what I got. And I hope you enjoyed watching this. If you did, please, I guess, like and subscribe. I plan on doing a lot more videos around what I got in Tokyo at some of the other locations that I went to. So the other things I got at Loft and what I got at Atoya, and the fountain pennings that I got and the fountain pens. So I'll definitely be doing that here. And then I'll also be doing a little bit of talking around what it's like to go to Tokyo Disneyland if you are somebody who is interested in that. So yeah, if that sounds good, go ahead and subscribe. But yeah, otherwise I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye.